God gave you the business. He gave you the position. Now you want to complain about it? People are people. You're drifting. And here's how I know. One of the main issues with founders and leaders is busyness. You're so busy. You're busy doing the work. You're busy filling out the form. You're busy taking the meetings. You're busy taking notes from the meeting, or sending out proposals, or doing all. You're busy doing the work. And a lot of people think that that is a good thing. You ever talk to somebody and you say, "Hey, how are you?" And they go, "Oh man, I'm just I'm just so busy." That is a orange flag. Okay, it's not a red flag, because we're supposed to be intentional. We're supposed to be doing the work, but we're not supposed to be so busy that we drift away from the calling. Okay, so that's my word for it, is drift. The thing about drift is it doesn't show up as rebellion necessarily. It's not like you're intentionally being disobedient, or you heard what you were supposed to be doing, you just decided not to do it. Drifting is much more subtle. The Bible talks about how subtle the enemy is. It's the word difference. I'll give you an example. Okay, so if I say to you, business is ministry, which we talked about in the last episode, that has an entirely different meaning, a different feeling, a different connotation. It's a different sentiment than if I said business is a ministry. Completely different. I only added one word. I added one word, and that changed the entire vibe of the statement, changed the whole context of it. That's drift. Drift is so subtle, is so small. I like to describe it as it happens 1 degree at a time. Now, imagine you're going in a direction, due north, and every day you're off by 1 degree. Where do you think you're going to be in 200 days? Probably not going to be where you were going, right? So drift is subtle. And that's why I'm always preaching like a Baptist preacher on a Sunday afternoon in the middle of summer in Louisiana. We have to be focused on this daily. Weekly is not enough. Monthly is not enough. You need to be on top of this every single day. Shameless plug. That's what the Daily Crown is all about. It's about making sure that you're on top of this every single day. Because even if you're on 70% of the time, like 70%, 7 out of the 10 days, you're good, but 3 days you're off by 3 degrees, you're going to be off by 3 whole degrees. So you're not going to be where you're supposed to be. So you have to mind this every single day. Every decision, every meeting, every relationship, before you sign that contract, like, are you drifting? That's the question I want you asking yourself every single morning when you wake up, is, Lord, keep me from drifting. Keep me focused. Keep my eyes looking straight ahead. Proverbs 4:25. And again, it's so subtle. It's not like a blaring siren that's going to say, "Hey, you're drifting. You're going in the wrong direction." Because from the outside looking in, it's going to look like you're going in the right direction, right? That's the danger of drift. It's not going to show up like this blaring, flashing symbol. It's going to be very, very subtle. It could be as simple as that one little word or two, right? It also shows up as opportunity. I can't tell you how many opportunities I've had that weren't right for me in this season of my life. Maybe 10 years ago, it would have been a perfect opportunity. But for where I am now and where God has me going, it's not the right opportunity for me in this season for the assignment that I'm on, right? That's easier said than done, because when you start flowing and when you start going in the direction that God has called you in your life and in your business, I guarantee you some opportunities I'm doing the air quotes for those who are listening. The opportunities are going to start coming up, and they might pay well. They might look good on the outside, but really they are opportunities that are best meant for someone else and not you. And a lot of times we get so caught up in the vision and the end goal that we forget to be super intentional and focused on the opportunities that are right for us and the ones that are not right for us. The other way drift shows up is through delay. You're working your business, you're working as a leader, and it just seems like this person they ain't getting it. Right? You've talked to them, you prayed for them, you've done everything you know how to do as a leader, right? But it's just not working, and time goes by and it's still not working, and you start to think and you start to wonder, you start to drift and start to say, well, is this the right situation, or am I doing something wrong, or are they doing something wrong, or what's going on, why is it taking so long? I want to remind you that God moves on his timing, not ours. As much as I would love to say I prayed and right away God answered it. Sometimes he does, but sometimes that delay is really just him preparing you for where he wants to bring you. Sometimes that delay is because you're not ready yet. And sometimes that delay comes in the form of an opportunity that you took that you shouldn't have taken, and now it's going to take you longer to get where you need to go because you took the opportunity that you weren't supposed to take. I'm reminded of the children of Israel. It took them a long time to get to the promised land. And it wasn't because it was a long journey, it wasn't that far, but it took them 40 years because they kept complaining. They kept getting in their own way. And as Christian founders, we do the same thing. We get in our own way. We know what we're supposed to be doing, but we start to grumble. We start to complain. They were like I'm gonna give you context. Okay, so they were out there in the desert, in the desert, right? They're gonna die. They pray. Moses prays and like, God, you told me to lead the people out, and now we're gonna die. So he sends manna from heaven. Do you want to know these people start complaining because they got tired of eating the manna? Like, bruh, you're complaining. It's coming from, and you're complaining. They start to complain, right? How much do we do that, right? God gave you the business, He gave you the position. Now you want to complain about it? People are people. They're going to be people when you leave. They were people when you got there. They will be people when you are not there anymore, right? Their people are always going to be people. The work is going to be the work. They're going to be parts of the work that are enjoyable and fun. They're going to be parts of the work that you would rather not do, but they're all part of the work because they keep us grounded. They keep us focused. Okay, so sometimes drift shows up as delay. Okay, so I'm gonna get to the point because I want to let you go. I promise these will be short. When you think about a car, right? A car, it doesn't really have to turn to start to drift out of its lane, because if your wheels are not aligned, your car will start to naturally drift to the left or drift to the right. You ever driven when you were sleepy and you wake up, right? And you almost go into your other lane. Like, these cars these days are fancy. They got the little bells and whistles on them. They buzz at you and move the wheel. But before that, right, your car would drift. And the only thing that would get you back in alignment is that person behind you that is also driving in, that also are driving in their lane, and you're in their lane. So they honk at you. And so it wakes you up and you get back in your lane. Right? It's not just because you're distracted because you were too tired because you didn't do what you needed to do to not be tired, or not drive at all because you were tired. Is that your car will naturally drift if you don't intentionally focus on it and take the anti-drift serum that we've talked about, right? It's slow misalignment. It happens over time. All right, let me give you three symptoms and then I'm gonna get you out of here. busyness, busyness without authority, right? Busyness without authority. The second one, opportunities without discernment. Like everything that you are supposed to do does not come in the form of an opportunity. Okay. And some opportunities are not for you. Conviction without execution. So, in other words, you're convicted about it. You know you're supposed to do it, but either you're not getting it done, or something standing in the way, or you're operating out of fear and not faith. There's something about the execution piece that's getting in the way. Here's the solution: lane correction. You need an anti-drift rhythm. Okay. And again, shameless plug. That's what the Daily Crown is about. Is a daily check-in to make sure that you're focused, you're in alignment, and that you're moving in the right direction. Obviously, or maybe not so obviously, this has to be rooted in faith and in the scripture, not Jesus sprinkled on top, but you're seeking after the Father and His will for your life and your business, and asking yourself the types of questions that are going to challenge you and get you moving in the right direction. Okay, cool. So that's drift, right? I'm going to be talking a lot about drift because I think that is the number one issue that Christian founders have. Okay. And I'm going to tell you all about my anti-drift serum. Okay. Shamelessly, because I believe that entrepreneurs change the world. And how much more do faith-driven entrepreneurs have to add to that in order to change the world? Okay, so listen, I appreciate your time. Support the show. There's going to be a link in the show notes here. I am a creator. Okay. I am an independent creator. So your support really helps me keep doing this and keep going. So remember to support the Daily Crown podcast, and remember to carry the flame and wear the crown.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, can I get a oh yeah, can I get a